Welcome back to the Barrel Zone, 9th of February, Tuesday morning, NBA betting analysis. As usual, we have a 7-game slate to break down today. Couple of interesting ones. I'm not really in love with the slate when it comes to betting, but there are a few spots we can attack, so we will get right into it. Please like the video or the podcast; it helps a ton, and subscribe. And if you want to grab my plays, you can go to patreon.com/the Barrel Zone. You can support the podcast and what I'm doing. I appreciate it a lot. So first game on the board, Detroit Pistons hosting the Brooklyn Nets. There are 2 or 3 games today where I'll be super quick. I think those are pretty unbettable. This is one of these. KD is out for Brooklyn. The game is off the board, but on softbooks you can grab 9s, 9.5s with the Nets. I think that's a bit too much, to be honest. My line with fully healthy teams would be like Brooklyn -7. So yeah, KD is out and the line is still 9. But Detroit is just screwed up with injuries right now. First of all, they traded Derrick Rose to the New York Knicks. He was probably the second best player. They have 4 more point guards on the roster, but 2 are out and 2 are questionable. Starting small guard Wayne Ellington is also questionable. So yeah, the backcourt is just in pieces. We don't know who will start, who will run the offense. It can hurt the squad a lot. I'm not backing Detroit in any way, shape, or form here until we see who is in the rotation, how they get through the Rose trade. But I cannot lay this many points with Brooklyn, especially as they host the Pacers tomorrow. So yeah, they might take it a bit easy. Also, Detroit's front court is still fully healthy, so they will have Grant, Griffin, and the center guy, I never recall his name. So yeah, they are still the better rebounding team by a really decent margin. They are getting 9 points at home. They will surely out rebound the Knicks with KD out. So yeah, overall, obviously, you look at the Nets, third best team in points per possession, first in effective field goal percentage, third in free throw rate. Detroit is bottom 10 in all of these categories. Nets should draw, but I think the spread is a bit off. But I could never touch the game. I think either side is unbackable here. Miami Heat hosting the New York Knicks. This is a rematch. First game was played in New York. Heat closed as 6-point favorites. They won the game by 6, but it was a super close game. Knicks were leading at multiple points. It was a 1-possession game for most of the game. Knicks end up losing a close one. So yeah, Knicks were on a back-to-back there, and the game closed at 6. It probably would have been around a 4.5 point spread if they aren't on a back-to-back. If you flip the home court now, as this game is in Miami, my line is around 6.5. We see 6.5s up on softbooks, but a couple of spots have 7s. I think I can agree to a 6.5. I can live with a 7 if this gets to 7.5 or maybe even 8. I'm going to bet the Knicks here. Just watching the first game and looking at how these two match up, the Knicks were out rebounding the Heat in the first game. I expected that. Overall, they're just a way better rebounding team. And yeah, I cannot play this many points with the Heat. Since Jimmy Butler has been back with the team, they have a plus 0.9 point differential, which is not very good. They are -6 against the spread on average since Butler has been back. And they still do have injuries. Bradley is out. He got injured like in the first game when he came back. Dragic is out. Harkless, Leonard, couple of front court guys who aren't key, but I mean it's still something you have to mention. So yeah, 7.5 is my entry point with the Knicks. For a small bet, 8 would be a full bet for me, to be honest. Knicks are averaging like almost plus 4 points on average against closing spread through the last 2 weeks, but they have been consistently a good team against the spread. They are always keeping it close. And yeah, this is probably a lower scoring game. Knicks are 30th in pace in the league. Heat are also in the second half of the league when it comes to pace. Total is 209, 208. So low total, low pace, rebounding edge to the Knicks. Heat has been super underwhelming still. I only have it's dog or pass. I think 6.5 is right, but at 7.5, 8, I have to look at the New York Knicks here. Next game, New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Houston Rockets. Game is off the board. Tons of questionables. Pelicans are 4.5 point favorites at home. I like the Pelicans here. I think what Houston is doing right now is just pointless. Sorry, I screwed up the out screen for a second. So yeah, Rockets are sitting everyone out for front ends, and then the rest of the team rests on back ends of back to backs. It's not really working. They lost last night to the Hornets. Wall and Gordon was sitting the game out, and tonight Oladipo is expected to sit out. Obviously, Wood is out for an extended time. I'm always talking about his importance. He's by far their best offensive player. He's averaging 22 points, 10 rebounds, 127 points per 100 possessions. Super efficient offensively, Christian Wood. So yeah, Wood won't be playing. Oladipo, who's averaging like 20 points on the season, he won't be playing either. Although Oladipo isn't that huge of a hit, his efficiency is very low, way under league average with Houston. But still, I mean, a guy who is hitting his shots when it counts. So yeah, without Oladipo and Wood on a back-to-back with travel for Houston, this is also their third game in 4 nights. New Orleans is at home on extra rest. So this sets up really well for the Pelicans. I hate the Pelicans overall, but I mean, they are one of the better rebounding teams in the league, third in offensive, eighth in defensive rebounding. Houston is bottom 5 in both categories, and they won't have Wood, who is averaging tons of rebounds. So yeah, and obviously Wood is like a hugely important piece when it comes to offense in the paint. Pelicans are struggling to defend the paint. They are allowing one of the highest field goal percentages for opponents around the basket. I think it will be okay here, unless the Pelicans get burned by threes. They are also bad defense against 3-pointers. Unless Houston is hitting all their shots, I think this is a game for the Pelicans to lose. I will make it Pelicans minus 5.5 with Oladipo out. So 4.5. I think it's a decent line to bet into. I hate betting the Pelicans. I hate laying points with the Pelicans. Their defense is just terrible. I don't like what I see on the court, but overall, I think this is a good matchup. They also draw top 10 amount of free throws, and Houston is allowing the 8th most in the league. So yeah, rebounding, free throw edge, fully healthy, at home, extra rest against back-to-back. Houston missing Wood and probably Oladipo. Oladipo isn't announced out yet, but based on the interviews after the game, everyone said that they are not expecting him to play here. So yeah, I like the Pelicans. It's not a bet that I'm in love with, but it's an edge when it comes to numbers, and yeah, the Rockets are completely lost right now, in my opinion. Next game, San Antonio Spurs hosting the Golden State Warriors. I was talking about this game a lot yesterday. I said that I liked the Spurs, and the game was a pick'em then, and the Warriors were flipping to a favorite. I said that's wrong. Spurs ended up closing 1.5 point favorites, as I expected. That was exactly my line. They are now 1.5 point favorites. So yeah, we get the closing line back as the opener. Obviously, efficient line, not one you should bet into. But a few words from last night's game. Curry, Oubre, Green played 36 minutes, Wiggins 39. On the Spurs side, DeRozan and Murray played 36 minutes each, others a bit less. So probably equal load on both teams. So, Murray won't play for the Spurs. Popovich said that he isn't able to play back-to-backs yet. He just came back from the injury, but he isn't 100%, so it won't be a downgrade. Spurs won the rebounding battle, won the turnover battle, won the free throw battle, just as I expected. But their offensive efficiency is just so bad that they still barely won. Um, I'm probably expecting the same tonight. Curry had like 32 points, but they still only put up 96 points per 100 possessions. Out of all games from all teams this season, that's bottom 10%. I'm always bashing the Warriors, but besides Curry, no one is efficient enough offensively. And they are running this small ball lineup. They don't have any centers left. Looney, Wiseman, Chris are all out. The Green is starting at 5. The backup squad is also a small ball lineup. My man Jacob with the Spurs, he drew the start with Aldridge out. He had like 14 rebounds, absolute domination. So I kind of lean towards betting into this maybe a bit and backing the Spurs, to be honest. I mean, they will out rebound them. They just have the better fundamentals. Overall, I think they are the more talented, more deeper team. First game closed 1.5. Spurs won. I think, yeah, maybe this one should like close 2 or something like that. But if the line moves like just half a point towards Golden State, I will probably jump back on the Spurs. They are just the all-around better team at home, fully healthy. It seemed like they could exploit the small ball lineup a bit more than I expected last night. So yeah, Spurs are a fair look. I agree with the current line, but I wouldn't be surprised if this gets out to 2.5 based on what we've seen last night. Next game, Sacramento Kings hosting the Philly 76ers. A game where I have a number edge on Philly. I make this 5.5 and the line is 4.5, juiced a bit, leaning towards 5. I didn't bet it yet. I'm expecting to see some Kings action. I'm exchanging numbers with a lot of guys, and most of them are lower on Philly than me, and they are making this 3.5 to 4. That's one reason why I'm waiting on this, and the other is that the Kings have been the best team against the spread through the last 2 weeks. They are like outperforming closing spreads by 9 points on average. So they will probably get some attention. Many people are betting just based on that. You will see them get bet here, I think. If other people are rating Philly a bit lower and the Kings are a hot team to back right now against the spread. But overall, I think this sets up well for the Sixers. They are on extra rest. Kings playing third game in 4 nights. Obviously, I want to fade them as they have been so good recently against the spread. Through the season, they still rate as the worst defense in the whole league. Yes, they face the fourth toughest schedule in the whole league, but still, the defense isn't this good, in my opinion. Philly, they have a giant rebounding edge in this matchup. They have the way better free throw rate, way better defense. I think the only edge you can give to Kings is the offensive efficiency. I'm always saying Philly isn't as good when it comes to offensive efficiency. They need the extra rebounds. They need the points from the charity stripe to just perform well offensively overall. But I think they will be able to get those here against a defense that isn't really good still. Also, both teams are favoring mid-range jumpers. Both are putting up like mid-range jumpers at like a top 5 rate in the league. And the Philly is like a top 5 defense against them. So they keep the frequency low, field goal rate pretty low. I think if you look at the shot map, it kind of favors Philly also. And they are one of the better transition offenses facing one of the worst transition defenses in the league. Also, probably high-paced game, 230 plus total. Both of these teams are in the top 10 when it comes to pace, so spread might not matter. I would probably look at the Sixers here or nothing, but I'm kind of leaning towards waiting this out and seeing if we can get a 4. At 4, I would really like the Sixers. I'm like 99% sure 4 is an edge with them. And I like all the angles I was talking about. So basically, the extra as the rebounding, they are finally fully healthy. Kings have been one of the hottest teams against the spread. I think market is kind of overrating them a bit right now. Just looking at this 4.5. But yeah, we will see a game to keep an eye on. Utah Jazz hosting the Boston Celtics. Jazz, the game is off the board where you can grab it. The Jazz are 4.5 point favorites on soft books. Conley is out for the Jazz and Smart is out for the Celtics. I've been going back and forth on this, looking into the matchups. I think these two injuries are kind of equal when it comes to. I'm not saying that these are equal level players, but when it comes to how the team can fill the holes left by Conley and Smart, I think it's probably an equal thing. Joe Ingles will go to the Jazz starting lineup, obviously with Conley out. Carson Edwards will start for the Celtics most likely. All right, most important thing about this game, Brown is questionable for the Celtics. He is their second best player, probably worth multiple points to the spread. He's trending in the right direction. I'm kind of expecting him to play, but even if he plays, I make this Jazz -5. So we have a situation where you can basically bet into a spread that I think Jazz are a plus CV bet right now, and it has the site has the potential to just gather more value if the game the day gets better for them with Brown not playing. As I said, I'm expecting Brown to play, but like even if there is like a 20-30% chance that he isn't playing, he's worth multiple points. The spread will go out to like Jazz -6, 6.5 in my opinion if he's out, or at least it should. But I could look at the Jazz or nothing here. This is game 5 of a 5-game road trip for the Celtics, Western Conference road trip. They have had some grueling games. Jazz are 9-2 at home, huge rebounding edge, way better offensively, defensively, way better free throw rate. I mean, Boston has a great turnover rate on both sides of the ball. That's the only edge they have, basically, if you look into stats. But again, Celtics, another team that's favoring mid-range jump shots above basically anything, and the Jazz are allowing the lowest field goal percentage from mid-range jumpers at 38%. So yeah, I think this will also be a higher scoring game. Totally just 220, but both teams are decent in transition and they have pretty bad transition defenses. I think the sharper books will trade this around 5 and not 4, 4.5. As if Brown is out, you will have to move way more. You move the line way more, and you can get screwed quickly. I would probably like if I was like Pinnacle, a bookmaker, I would probably open this up at 5, maybe even 5.5. We'll see where the action comes in. But I don't think the Celtics are now a side that people really want to back. And this isn't enough points to make them a value side. I think even if Brown plays, I would need more than 4.5 points to back them here. So yeah, I think this is overall a good matchup for the Jazz. Decent spot. They are less hurt by the injuries. I mean, Smart out is defensively is a huge hit for the Celtics against such a great offense. Jazz have been ranked in the top 5 of the league offensively, defensively through the whole season, through the last 2 weeks. They did face a legit schedule. I'm a huge believer in them. They should be winning this game. Final game of the day, Portland Trail Blazers hosting the Orlando Magic. I really didn't want to talk about this game, so I'll just keep it quick. Both teams are missing 2 of their 3 best players. So Magic don't have Gordon and Fournier. Portland doesn't have Nurkic and CJ. Orlando offensively 27th in points per possessions and 29th in effective field goal percentage. Portland defensively 29th in points per possession, 30th in effective field goal percentage allowed. So yeah, clash of the trash. I hate both teams a lot. I think the spread is right. I would probably make it 4.5 myself as well. On-court matchup kind of sets up well for the Magic. They are also spamming these mid-range jumpers, and Portland allows the 3rd highest field goal percentage on them. On the other side, Portland is more of a 3-point shooting team. I think they are third or fourth in frequency compared to the whole shot selection in the league. And Orlando is a pretty decent 3-point defense. My question here, with so many guys out on both sides, like who will stop Lillard, and on the other side, who will stop Vucevic? I think no one. So yeah, I'm skipping the game. You shouldn't back either team here. If I was forced to make a play, I would probably back the Magic, just getting the extra points. I cannot trust either team. So, summing it up, I think the slate isn't that amazing, but there are a couple of sports that I like. So, Knicks, at 8, I would really like them. 7.5 would be a small bet for me. Pelicans, you can grab 4s now. I think that's hugely plus CV, even 4.5. We don't know surely that Oladipo will sit, so if you are like super paranoid, you should wait out for the injury report. But I mean, even if he's in at 4, I kind of lean towards the Pelicans. Spurs, I really wasn't gonna bet this game, but it just grew on me while I was talking here. I think at 1.5, maybe Spurs are worth a small look. I didn't bet it yet. If this gets down to like 1, I will probably bet it. There is no reason why the Warriors should be bet here. They are not a good team. I like Philly. I think the line could get a bit better here. I make this 5.5. We see 4.5s. Kings have been great against the spread. One of the hotter stories of the last few weeks. I think you should wait out if you want to grab the Sixers like I do. And I like the Utah Jazz. Jazz are probably my favorite pick of the day. Yeah, I think it's the team that I can trust more. I think I cannot trust the Pelicans. I cannot trust the Spurs. I cannot trust the Knicks like 100%. Sixers maybe, but yeah, I think the Jazz are a pretty confident pick at 4, 4.5. I think you can still grab some 4s out there. So that has been it for today. We have tons of games tomorrow, a couple of great matchups, a couple of rematches. We have a Bucks Suns game. I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah, I will be back at the same time. Please like the video, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube or whatever. And if you want to grab my plays, you can go to Patreon and support the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time.